Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome to our Monday, November 4th school board meeting. We'll start with our agenda approval, deletions, additions. Dr. Veracco.
Thank you, Mrs. Seuss. We do have one amendment to the agenda, and that is to, under Roman numeral 7A, to hear from Assistant Principal Joe Standish about our Veterans Day ceremony at the high school later this week. Everything else is the same as you received last week in your packets.
So moved.
Motion by Dr. Malco,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Kelly. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Is there any correspondence this evening, Ms. Kelly?
There is not, Mrs. Seuss. Thank you.
Thank you. And our liaison committee updates. We'll start with Dr. Malco.
Sorry, I wasn't prepared for going first. You surprised me. You changed your routine.
I did.
Oh, Lake Central Education Foundation, I'm going to defer to Mrs. Talent for that because I wasn't at the last meeting. Legislative, I did see in the book here that we're going to have some advocacy meetings, so I will make you aware of those in case you want to call in. And Dyer Parks, things are just kind of slow for the time being, and more activity will begin after we have some approval of budget items.
Okay, concerning the Education Foundation, we will be having another meeting, and it will be on November 11th. At that time, there will be some plans that will be made for the next teacher grant round that will come out in January. Our meeting will also include looking at what kinds of themes we should be offering, so we'd like the word to get out that if teachers are interested in applying for a spring round of grants, get ready, they'll be out after the first of the year.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly.
I have those meetings this week and next week, so hopefully next meeting I'll have something to report.
And I have nothing for any of my committees to report at this time, so we'll move into our official school board business topics consent agenda. Dr. Veracco.
Thank you again, Mrs. Seuss. Seek board approval for the minutes from our executive session as well as our regular board meeting on October 21st. Also seek board approval for the claims, payroll, and extracurricular expenditures you received in your packets last week.
Motion to approve?
Motion from Ms. Kelly,
Second.
second from Mrs. Talent. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And there's no public comment. So-
Go ahead, Howard. Did they unmute me? Okay, thank you.
Okay, so do we have any public comments regarding action items? All right, and we'll move into our official school board business topics, regular agenda. Dr. Veracco.
Okay, we're ready to hear from Mr. Standish.
Mr. Standish, I was asked if you come to the microphone, if you would please talk a little bit louder than normal so Mr. Marshall can hear you. Thank you.
I can.
Great. So I'm here on behalf of the Veterans Day Committee to formally invite you guys to our Veterans Day Assembly / celebration breakfast on Thursday at 7:30 a.m. Our committee has been working tirelessly since, I would say, probably September to put this all together. We have a lot of hands in this cookie jar that are hopefully going to be able to put on something pretty spectacular this Thursday at approximately 9 o'clock of the start time. It will take place in the gymnasium of the high school. The breakfast will be served in the cafeteria at 7:30 a.m. approximately. We're looking to have close to 500 people. So that will dwarf what we had last year by quite a bit. Last year we were kind of ramaging for chairs and things like that, but we're gonna set the chairs for 500, and hopefully all that will take place Wednesday afternoon, about 11 or 12, they'll be starting to set up. So we've worked really well with our girls basketball coach and our boys basketball coach to get the gym early. And everybody's really got a piece in this, so our athletic department's involved, our counselors, our staff, our custodians, everybody has got a piece of this. So if you have a chance to come by to see it, I enthusiastically, would be excited for you guys to be there and to be a part of it. And it's going to be something pretty special. So with that being said, too, I also have, for my board members, I have our pin, the pin we designed this year. So do you mind if I come up and, all right. I did hand it out to the central office administration because I was fortunate enough to be able to walk right over there, but I wasn't able to see all of you guys. So that's our new design for this year. So that will be, we already have another pin design in for next year, so we'll get that moving here. Hopefully in early August, we'll start getting that ball rolling. But if you guys would like a flyer, I will leave the flyers up here. I don't want to give you a bunch more papers than what you already have. So, but that's about all that I have. If you guys have any questions or anything like that right now, yes.
Mr. Stanich, I'm so sorry I won't be in town.
There's a lot of juggling going on right now, so we are working with that. We've talked with Scott Erickson, who is in charge of Touch Pros, and they designed a new wall wrap that we're going to be putting on. We're working to gather up donations for the wall wrap now. So it's a pretty extensive project, but hopefully you'll be able to see. I can actually send you some pictures of what the rendering would look like. We just received some postcards that we're going to hand out to people at the Veterans Day Assembly looking for donations. They'll be able to see a large photo of what it would look like on the wall. So I worked with them I think they're out of Ohio, and they'll be working with us to get this all finished hopefully soon. So, but it's a work in progress. I'm not going to lie. It's going to take some time, but we do have the TV. It's been delivered, and we have all the parts for it. So it's just a matter of getting the wall wrap on. I'd like to do that first before we do the television. So
So would you like to share with the rest of the board the beginning of the project and how it is funded?
So the actual beginning of the project was funded graciously by the Lake Central Education Foundation for the grant that we applied for. So they were the ones that actually were the foundation of the project itself. We wrote a grant for it, and we were fortunate enough that they okayed it, and they gave us the funding for the actual TV itself. So it was a very large sum of money, and we are very grateful for what they did for us. So, but now we're looking to extend it a little bit more and make it even better. So I can forward you a picture of what that would look like. We do have a link that's going to be on our RevTrack, which is our school webpage for the school store. People can donate through there by using the QR code, and also there is a website that people can go to, lchswarmemorialfund.com, and they'll be able to donate directly to there. It'll take you right to the webpage, and there's a picture of the actual rendering on the webpage and some words that we put on together as a committee too as well.
Well, I know Mr. Clark reached out to me and asked me to encourage people to come, so I didn't know if it was for this, or it's just for the actual Veterans Day program?
The Veterans Day program,
This
yes.
is still being developed?
Yeah, this is just a little bit, this is something different. The Veterans Day program will be solely for Thursday
Okay.
itself, but the actual funding of the wall and things like that, the memorial to make it even more extensive than it is another side project that we're working on
And that
as
is
well.
going to need a fundraiser then?
Yeah, we're currently working on it right now, but it is, obviously, it's going to cost a little bit extra, but I
Okay.
think it's going to be really
Okay,
fantastic.
that's good to know. We can pass it around.
And also, too, just to let you know, if you can't make the event on Thursday, we do have a live stream link that'll be linked on the front page of the webpage, so,
Oh, good.
okay?
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, thank you guys for your time.
Thank you. And our Assistant Superintendent, Ms. Castaneda.
Thank you. For my first item, I am seeking the board's approval for the personnel recommendations.
Motion to approve?
A motion by Ms. Kelly, and I will second that. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
For my second item, I am seeking the board's approval for the professional leave request.
Move for approval?
We have a motion by Dr. Malco,
Second.
second from Mrs. Talent. Any questions, discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. For my third item, I am seeking the board's approval for the collective bargaining agreement, the administrative and classified pay raises.
Motion to approve?
Motion from Ms. Kelly,
Second?
second from Dr. Malco. Any questions or discussion?
Job well done on that.
Thank you.
Absolutely. I have to apologize, I should be taking individual roll call votes, so I will start that going forward. So start with Dr. Malco.
Aye.
Ms. Talent.
Aye.
Ms. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Marshall. Aye. And I am an aye. Motion passes.
Thank you. And for my last item, I am seeking the board's approval for the updated terms of employment.
So moved.
We have a motion for Ms. Talent.
Second?
Ms. Kelly seconded that. Any question or discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Malco.
Aye.
Ms. Talent.
Aye.
Ms. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Marshall. Aye. And I am an aye, too.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our Director of Primary Education, Dr. Bracy.
Good evening. For my first item, I am just seeking your approval for the professional leave request in your packets.
Move for approval?
Motion from Dr. Malco. I will second that. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, Dr. Malco.
Aye.
Ms. Talent.
Aye.
Ms. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Marshall. Aye. And I am an aye also. Motion passes.
Thank you. And for my second item, I am also seeking approval for the field trip request in your packets.
Motion to approve?
Motion for Ms. Kelly.
Second.
Second for Ms. Talent. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Malco.
Aye.
Ms. Talent.
Aye.
Ms. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Marshall. Aye. And I am an aye also. Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. And our Director of Secondary Education, Mrs. Schoeneman.
Thank you. For my first item, I'm seeking the board's approval for the professional leave requests included in your board packet.
Move for approval?
Motion from Dr. Malco. I will second that. Any discussion?
Well, I tell you what, Mrs. Joan London is going to be all over the place, isn't she, with those?
Many competitions, yes.
Wow, many competitions, yes, absolutely. And I move for approval, and that's a yes, we have a second? Is that right?
We're going yeah, we're going to individual roll call now.
Okay, so aye.
All right. Ms. Talent.
Aye.
Ms. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Marshall. Aye. And I am an aye too, so that motion passes.
Thank you. And for my second item, I am seeking the board's approval for the field trip requests also included in your packet.
Motion to approve?
Motion from Ms. Kelly,
Second.
second from Ms. Talent. Any discussion? Hearing none, Dr. Malco.
Aye.
Ms. Talent.
Aye.
Ms. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Marshall.
Aye.
I am an aye also. Motion passes.
Thank you very much. And at this time, I'd like to invite some special guests up. I'm inviting up Val Gardner, Lake Central High School math coach, Bob Gustis, Clark Middle School math teacher, and Jessica Reed, Lake Central High School math teacher. They will be presenting on the NCTM conference, the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics. They attended that conference last month.
All right, first of all, I want to thank you guys for letting us present today. We had a great conference. I probably saw about 15 different sessions and a lot of math, obviously. I'll be honest with you, to me, it was very inspirational this year. And they talked a lot about where math was going and things like that. But for me, for tonight's presentation, the session that spoke to me the most was the one on proactive math coaching. And I think sometimes people don't truly understand the role of an instructional coach. And this really spoke to me because in my dealings with, central office and the principals, this is really what I feel a coach should be doing. And they talked a lot about that we need to create coaching goals, like what are we doing, and we lay that out for the teachers and for administration, and where is your department going. We need to be clear and articulate to the teachers so they understand the why of what they're doing. And then as time goes by, you can start to see that as your department changes. And agendas should be created for the goal so everyone knows each year where you're going and what you're doing, what your intentions are, because math is a very changing field. I know we think of math as, kind of stagnant, but it really isn't. Math is in the world. It's got a lot of research and data behind it now, and so we need to be moving forward in that as we educate our kids. A lot of times we're educating our children for a world we don't know exists. I think at this point, even 5 years ago, I could have never imagined where math education is right now. And so we have to keep pushing that envelope. They talked also too about math coaches need to have not only context, but content. Our teachers need to feel supported. They need to feel that they have a relationship with their instructional coach. They need to feel that they have proper resources. And Misty and I talk about this a lot, especially, when we went through the change with the textbooks. Teachers have to feel they have things they can use that will take that agenda and move those goals forward. And they talked a lot about how do we change our story? How do we take, maybe test scores that we're not happy with or outcomes we're not happy with, and how do we change that? And our words and our actions really matter. And we have to move from envisioning what we want our math instruction to be into enacting what that math instruction needs to be. And I think that spoke to me the most because as we move forward, we have to have a vision. We have to know where we're going in a year, 2 years, 5 years, even 10 years down the road. Because if we just stay stagnant, our scores will be stagnant or go lower. And we have to keep moving forward. And I know, people laugh a lot about Facebook, about, new math, but it is really a thing. And it's not really new. It's about how we are teaching our students to think. We're teaching them to be logical, and we're teaching them to be problem solvers, not just answer getters. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Gustus.
I get to follow that. That's awesome. All right. Thank you, first off, for letting me go to this conference. It was awesome. I went to probably about 10 different ones. The one that I really highlighted, I didn't highlight the exhibit hall with all the ones that I went to and talked to. I think I spent an hour just talking to different vendors, and there's a lot of information out there. There's a lot of different vendors, a lot of different things you can do, but a lot of them are all the same. It's just the one you hit. But the one that I went to was called Alternate Algebraic Techniques for Improving Procedural Fluency and Enriching Adaptive Reasoning. I know you're going, God, that is like the best one ever. What happened was, it's pretty funny, I ended up stumbling into this one. The session I was going to go to, I didn't really like, so I walked into this one and I saw it. It was actually really, really neat. It talked about computational fluency, of where we have conceptual and procedural things that we do in class. Conceptual, we have concepts, we have operations, we have relations that we do, and procedural, which we go through. Here's what we do, we're flexible, accuracy. But the thing I found about this, the alternate one, was everything that we do is number-oriented instead of digit-oriented. And everything that we do in life, we all do left to right. We read left to right. We write left to right. We look at graphs in math from left to right. But in math, we do everything right to left. So this one said, what if we looked at it and be more flexible and look at doing math from right to or left to right instead of right to left? The thing that we find, there's fewer errors, there's less reteaching, and develop number sense to go with it. So I have 4 different ones that they showed me, how you do math actually from left to right instead of right to left. So get ready, here's some math here. So you go to a conference, you gotta learn a little math. So the first one was left to right in addition. So normally you add 149 plus 528, 9 and 8 is 17, break down the 7, regroup the 1. 1 and 4 and 2 is 7. 1 and 5 is 6, 677. But what if you did it left to right? So you can go 1 plus 5 is 6. 4 plus 2 is 6. 9 and 8 is 17. And then when you add it down, you get 677. So 978 and 863, same thing. 8 and 7 is 15. 9 and 6 is 15. 8 and 3 is 11. When you add it, 1661. Okay, if you don't believe me, go ahead, add it the way you all know. I'm telling you, it does work, it's right. Okay, all right, it blew me away. Okay, the second one was called 9 complement for subtraction. So when you subtract 531 minus 268, you get 263. Now what they said for 9 complement is we kind of base everything on the number 999. So you take 531 and you would rewrite it. And then instead of doing subtraction, make it an addition problem. How far is 268 from 999? Start with the hundreds. 2 is 7 away from 9. 6 is 3 away. 8 is 1 away. Now when you add it, you get 1262. And I know you're saying that is not 263. However, take the first digit, add it to the last digit, you get 263. And that's the answer. And I took a look at this and go, some students will take a look and go, they can add this a lot easier than trying to do that. So just so you're like going, is this really work? I thought I'd do another one for you. So here's 612 minus 397. So 612, and I know some of you are taking your pencil, paper, writing it down, doing it with me. It's okay. 3 is 6 away. 9 is 0 away. 7 is 2 away. When you add it, you get 1214. Take that first digit, add it to the end, you get 215, and it works. So I don't know if you're more impressed with the math or my technology here of me using this, because this stuff I never get to do. All right, now left to right for subtraction also works. Normally you do take the 2, regroup, bring 10 over, you get 16. 16 minus 9 is 7. 1 minus 1 is 0. Or 2 minus 1 is 1. Regroup the 1. Bring it up to the 16. 16 minus 9 is 7. Now, how does that work with another number? Well, 7 minus 1 is 6. You can't do 3 minus 9, so take the 6, make that a 5, bring it up. 13 minus 9 is 4. You can't do 6 minus 9, so the 4 becomes a 3. Regroup. 16 minus 9 is 7. Bring everything down, 537. Over here, 4 minus 3 is 1. You can't do 3 and the 5, so bring that up. There's your 8. 8 minus 2 is 6. You can't do 1 and the 7, so the 6 becomes a 5. 11 minus 7 is 4. 854, there's your answer. So doing it from left to right, you can see kind of follows on. And the last one is what they call partial differences. So if you do 52 minus 63, you get 33. Do it from left to right. The 5 and the 2 is 50 and 20. That gets you 30. 6 minus 3 is 3. And then you would just add them, and you get 33. Here you go on the next one. 300 and the 200 gives you 100. Oh, there you go, the bottom. I forgot I did that much. Look, I did more technology I didn't realize. Okay, then here, 300 minus the 200 is 100. 70 minus 80 would give you negative 10. 1 minus 5 is negative 4. When you add those all up, you get 86. And then finally, the last one. 800 minus 100 is 700. 100 or 10 minus 30 would give you negative 20. 3 minus 9 would give you negative 6. And when you add that together, you get 674. There you go. It's just taking the whole idea of going left to right instead of right to left. I took a look at this and I went, you have some students that, they don't get this regrouping, but this might be just another way around for you can do it. And that's what I learned at this one. So, all right. Any questions on that? I know you're all going, God, I can't wait to go do this. But however, okay, Jessica, you're up.
All right. Hi again. I'm Jessica Reed. Thank you again for sending me. This was actually my first NCTM. The first year that I started, I was supposed to go, but that was the COVID year that everything got shut down. So unfortunately, haven't been able to go until this year. And I went to 7 different sessions over 2 days. And the first session I went to was the one that spoke the most to me. And this session that I went to was actually more of a 3rd through 5th grade session. However, it was project-based learning for mathematics. And I think that's something that can be used no matter what age you're at. I think everybody likes a good project. And I mean, I remember when I was in high school, I'm sure you guys too, the number one question we get asked is, when are we ever going to use this? How does this apply to real life? And project-based learning takes that and puts it into real-life problems. And not only real-life problems, but they get to solve problems in their community. They get to connect with those around them. So the one that I went to, there was a couple different speakers, and if you can switch it for me. Brittany Tinkler was the one that really stood out. And her project was making blankets for the homeless. So not only did she get to solve a problem in her community, she was based in Indianapolis, so the homeless community was a little more prevalent than it is here. However, they were able to incorporate that into their lessons. And it doesn't just take, 1 week we're doing a project here. It's a project that's spread throughout almost their entire curriculum. So for them, not only being elementary did they do mathematics, but they tied it into their reading. They read a book about it. And then with the mathematics for blankets, they did area, they did perimeter. They tied it all in. So I want to incorporate that into my classroom more. And I think we're really starting to do this a lot, doing more projects in class. We did a road trip project just previously, and then second semester we do a car buying project. So getting this into our curriculum, I want to include community outreach, getting those involved in our community, in our classroom, or vice versa, so kids can see, hey, like maybe I'm not going to say, hey, what's the square root of 11 every day, but I'm going to use these concepts and learn how to problem solve with that. I want to incorporate their personal experiences. So like in Indianapolis, they have a big homeless community. We can find problems in our community that students can help solve. And when students are being part of that problem solving, they're more invested. When they're doing it for themselves, they're more invested. And it also helps them build relationships with each other because they can work in groups, with their community, with me because I get to learn more about them and what they're interested in. And we're still hitting all of our standards along the way. So the curriculum is important, but also everything else is important because math is only a small part of their life, but if we could incorporate it into their life, that makes a big difference. So if you could click one more for me. So my next steps right now are really going to be focused on that car buying project for next semester because I think planning in advance, I need kind of a lot of time to get that set. Now we already have this project, and this project we kind of do at the end of our set or the end of our section. But I want to make it so we start at the beginning and kind of work at it little by little throughout our module. So I want to reach out to those in the community who work either for car dealerships or in finance, because in this project, we do their monthly payments, and you could see kind of our rubric there of how we grade them. So the students get to choose their own car. They get to choose the color, what type. Usually we try to make it so it's from the dealership, so there's a base level there. We check to make sure their calculations are accurate, and then we need to talk about how they're going to finance that. We talk about their credit scores, and that's a big one because, the credit score is really important when you're buying a car. Depreciation, all of that kind of filtered in. And so by doing this, I want to work on it throughout the module. And if we get people in from finance saying, hey, this is what I do on a daily basis, that can really help them kind of connect to what's going on. And even though from Indianapolis that problem solved a real life problem in their community, project-based learning doesn't always have to be solving a problem. It can just be, what are they going to use? What in their future are they going to have to come up to? I mean, my husband and I just bought a car, and we had to go through all the financing and sit there and our credit scores, and you drive it off the lot and it depreciates so much just by driving it off the lot. So getting our students to recognize, hey, no matter what kind of job you have, no matter what you're doing, almost all of you are gonna need to buy a car. So something like that, I think they can personalize that project and they could really work on it. So that was my biggest takeaway from NCTM, and I'm happy to get working on it with this car buying project and also insert that into even more of our projects and more into our curriculum. So it's not just turn to page 264, this is what we're learning, but hey, we're gonna go buy some cars today. So thank you, thank you.
That's it.
Any questions?
I just want to make a comment, Jessica. Yeah, the credit score is something fairly new. I mean, I never knew about it when we were young, so I think to teach young children about it so they know it's out there, because it just kind of popped out of nowhere and here it is.
Well, and especially even if we tied it to, hey, you're turning in all of your assignments late. If you turn in, bills late and don't make your payments, hey, that can kind of affect things. And let's see how much. Look at this person with that good credit score and this person without it.
There you go. Yeah, good correlation. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out. We really appreciate hearing from you.
Yes, thank you. All right, and our Director of Student Services, Mrs. Gramala.
Thank you. I'm just seeking your approval for the professional leave requests included in the board packet.
Move for improvement.
We have a motion by Dr. Malco. I will second that. Any discussion? Hearing none. Dr. Malco.
Oh, aye.
Mrs. Talent.
Aye.
Mrs. Kelly.
Aye.
Mr. Marshall.
Aye.
And I am an aye also. Motion passes. Thank you. And I see that Mr. Ledger's not here. Is somebody?
I can handle that one. So,
Okay, thank you.
what Mr. Ledger wanted to share was that, as always, we have 4 schools hosting elections. We had a couple sessions off when Bibbich was under construction, but it is open for precinct voting tomorrow. If you came in at the south end of the building tonight, you saw that they're already getting ready for tomorrow morning here. And then, of course, we have Clark and then the community activities room at Protzman. And so the only other thing I would share that Bill probably didn't know was that a lot of schools have gone to either a day off or a day of e-learning during elections. So we'll have to continue to consider this in the future. Next year, there are no elections, so we have that 1-year reprieve, but to think about it. But anyway, that's where we are for Election Day tomorrow. Don't forget to vote.
Thank you. And our Director of Business Services, Mr. James.
Thank you. My only item this evening is to seek your approval for the donations that were included in your board packet.
Motion to approve?
Motion for Ms. Kelly,
I'll second.
second for Ms. Talent. Any discussion? Hearing none. Dr. Malco?
Aye.
Ms. Talent?
Aye.
Ms. Kelly?
Aye.
Mr. Marshall?
Aye.
And I am an aye also. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we have no public comments, so we'll move right into our board comments and consideration of future agenda items. Can I start to the left with Dr. Malco?
Sure, you might as well,
All
because I
right.
have nothing to say other than I didn't know the high school had rowing machines. So, but it looks like they're going to Sherrville, which is police department, which is very nice. That's good community sharing of whatever we have, wealth, I guess you call it. No, I have nothing else. Oh, I am very, very proud of our cross-country girls. They, and the boys too, they did
Yeah.
very, very nice, good work. And, yeah, and nothing else. I'm just impressed. Keep doing the good work.
Very good. Ms. Talent?
I really enjoyed hearing the presentation about math. Math is not one of my things, but I really like that. It's great. And Mr. Marshall, we're glad that you are joining us.
Ms. Kelly?
No comments this evening.
Mr. Marshall?
Yes, am I live?
Yes.
You can hear me all right. The NCTM discussion was really an eye-opener for me. And I also want to wish my fellow board members the best tomorrow. Good luck.
Oh,
Thank you.
thanks, Howard.
And I have no comments. I agree with everything out there that everybody said tonight. Get out and vote. And with that, we'll turn it over to Dr. Veraco for board calendar of future activities.
Yeah, our next meeting will be here on Monday, November 18th, 2 weeks from this evening. That's all. Thank you.
All right, do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned.